they support them in doing businesses, and they support them in whatever endeavors that they're taking on.
This is an interesting conversation because it sounds like communism. The origins of communism are also very, very similar in terms of they said, everybody. It sounds very good. It sounds beautiful. Everybody's going to be equal and everybody's going to have everything.
No, I'm not.
Which isn't really.
I'm not.
It hasn't worked out so far.
I'm not saying everyone has to be equal.
Right.
What I'm saying is that everyone should be supported by their governments.
In the first wave of AI, people were, okay, now we need to act as, administrators and as orchestrators. So that was the first wave of AI.
Yeah.
Which sort of made sense because, AI can do a lot of things and has a lot of answers to what you can do. But then gradually, as soon as we started getting, the next wave where you've got, swarms of different employees and you've got other virtual AI agents, which they call Jarvis or whatever names you have them. So people are actually hiring, so they're saying this is my, chief operating officer and whatever name you want to call it.
Yeah.
So essentially what is happening is it is just a matter of time before even the middle management, senior management will actually be struggling to justify their roles in terms of what they do and what value they bring to the table.
Okay.
Because when you talk about judgment and all of those things, the way AI is evolving and learning, it's still far from perfect, but it continues to very strongly evolve as we discuss in a number of different areas.
Yeah, I have a slight contention with relating meaning of life with work. I think it's a far stretch to link those two things. I think meaning in life can be derived from maybe having kids, doing other things. Other than
people like Elon Musk would love people like Elon Musk would love people like you. We're going to have meaning in life without having to worry about work or business or any of those things. Anyway,
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe building relationships. Maybe having a relationship with God. Maybe these are things that have more to do with having a meaning in life than the job that you're doing. Or
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. To that level.
But of course, I think there are certain jobs or businesses that do add meaning in life, where you're giving services to the people.
Well, it's not just that. I would totally agree with you in terms of the real meaning of life is obviously when you're connected with the family and when you're going in the right direction and doing good things. Absolutely, that is the real meaning of life. But if you become pragmatic and realistic, one of the key components of anybody's life is are you financially independent or are you financially dependent on somebody? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you just exclude some of the top billionaires or kings or princes, 99% or 99.9% of people in this world, they've got to basically go out and work for an income, whether it's a business or whether it's a job.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. So now, in the new world that we're talking about, if they're talking about almost taking up all of the businesses and all of the jobs, mm-hmm. then people will become financially dependent on this system, correct? Yes. So whenever you're financially dependent on, that is the worst place to be in. Being financially dependent on another entity or another system completely and utterly, because they're talking about UBI.
Yeah.
And whenever you're talking about universal basic income, this is almost like giving away charity to people.
Yeah.
Just to live their life.
Yeah, that sounds like a very strange concept.
Yes. That is the part which is very concerning.
Yes, I think.
And yeah, go ahead.
I think I have a very unique view on this.
Okay.
I think, and I think there are some Arab countries that are actually doing this. I think countries primarily should have systems in place that support their citizens in a way that they have free education, and I know a lot of countries do to some extent, but they're not they're not meeting the standards of or a high standard of living that you would expect. But I think this is ultimately a government's responsibility to ensure that their citizens have free education, free healthcare, and they support them in doing businesses, and they support them in whatever endeavors that they're taking on.
This is an interesting conversation because it sounds like communism. The origins of communism are also very, very similar in terms of they said, everybody. It sounds very good. It sounds beautiful. Everybody's going to be equal and everybody's going to have everything.
No, I'm not.
Which isn't
I'm not,
really.
I'm not
It
saying,
hasn't worked out so far.
I'm not saying everyone has to be equal.
Right.
What I'm saying is that everyone should be supported by their governments in a way that all of these things that now are costing a lot of money and the poor people are not able to avail all of these services because of the lack of money should be given freely by the governments because they're in charge of their people.
Fair enough, and this is good, and this is a good disagreement to have because you have different views, and anybody's views can be right or wrong to an extent. So I think it's good to have different diverse opinions on this subject. As much as we agree or disagree with each other, at least we can have that discussion in a very open environment.
Yes.
And lastly, one of the things that concerns me personally is I think when this kind of a thing happens, when almost everybody is dependent on a very select group for financial for financial resources completely and utterly.
Yes.
Then it depends on how they want to run you.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand.
And so the real freedom of expression or the real freedom of action, I suspect would be limited.
Yes.
If people were generally depending on any particular government, they would just have their own sort of system that you
Don't
want
you
to go
think
along
that
with. If it is good, that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
But if it is not really good, if there's evil under the garb of good, then it becomes a very sort of interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I would say to a certain extent this is already the case because all the currencies are linked to the dollar and the World Bank and so on, and it's already in one place in a sort of way.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I think this will multiply by 10, 100 or a million times when, because people right now can still have their own businesses, can still grow, can still, make things in life.
Yeah.
But eventually, once we get to that state, some people are saying it'll take a couple of years. Some people are saying it'll take 5 or 10. Some other people will completely disagree and they will say this is just a hoax. This is a bubble which will just go away.
Yeah.
So let's see how this evolves.
Yeah. So let's suppose that AI is able to take over the businesses and the management and the companies and so on. What's the bad thing about that, or the negative thing?
The negative thing is financial dependence. You don't own anything. You are completely and fully dependent on another system, and whatever that system tells you to do, you will do. So they will define what being a good boy means, right? Or being a bad person means.
Yeah.
So we just have to comply with that. If you're okay with that, good. It's not a problem. You're just depending on who is actually running that system.
Okay.
Yeah. So if those people are good, nothing like it.
Yeah.
But historically, it's very rare that it has rarely ever happened that with that level of control, people will just want to have a fair and a balanced and a good society. I think, and I suspect before we actually get to that state, there may be some major conflicts and wars, and we may see a lot of people on the streets if we start going in that direction, because when a significant number of people will start losing their jobs or businesses, I suspect there's going to be a lot of chaos. So we're either going to have a situation where we may have countries going to war as that happens, or we may have a situation where there's a lot of sort of civil unrest and chaos before we get to that state. But that's again just my view. We'll have to wait and see how things evolve.
Yeah, but look, I think we can look at both sides, positive and the negative. I think there is a lot of positive sides because you will have in different fields, like for example farming and in healthcare and so on, It's going to be very helpful, and it's going to speed up the output, the quality, and all of those things. What you would expect if the companies are like headed in the right direction, I think that would be really positive, a positive aspect of how AI is being used in the world.
No, no,
And
fair enough. I think just to conclude from my side, I think if we really simplify it, dumb it down, simplify it completely, then we're just talking about almost a kind of communism where there's a few people who have full and total control, and everybody else hopefully has a good life. Or we're talking about people, who continue to have freedom of action and freedom of thought. So it's a good debate to have,
yeah,
and we'll see how things evolve.